want to start already, or?
I think in the interest of saving everyone's time, it's 6:02. So why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody once again for being here on this new webinar series, Steps to Financial Freedom, on this fine afternoon here on April 12th, 2023. My name is Eddie Villanueva. I work with the marketing department and I'm the member engagement assistant. And here with us, we have Ms. Rahel Young, which is the branch operations manager. We also have Kerry Lazar, which is our content and communication specialist. And last but not least, we have our presenter of the evening, which is Milton Aguilar Bolaños, which is our membership development officer, AKA he knows it all about membership. So with that being said, whoever is up next in line, take it away. Oh, and one more thing. Whoever has a question, they can put it in the chat box, and then we're going to be reading it live while the presentation is going on, or we're going to have some time at the end of the presentation to answer your question. And you can also use the Q&A function. With that being said, take it away.
Hey, Eddie, thank you so much for the introduction. And once again, thank you to both of you in marketing for assisting and putting this great webinars, weekly webinars that we do for all of our members. So with that being said, I just want to thank you all for taking your time to attend. We have another fun and exciting topic for you all today, and that is steps to financial freedom. I think this is a very exciting webinar that we have ready for you all this evening. So with that being said, let's dive in and let's take a look into the agenda for today. So we're going to be going over pretty much 8 steps to financial freedom. And let me just start by saying that, financial freedom means something different to everyone. And some of the steps that we're going to be reviewing here, they are designed to help you set up a plan towards that, what financial freedom really means for you. With that being said, so I know that some of the steps may not apply to everyone, and that is totally fine. So it is okay. If that's some of the steps that we're going to be discussing, it's not something that really applies to you. And if it doesn't, that's totally fine. But let's take a look and let's go down the list. The first step that we're going to be discussing, that's going to be understanding your money personality, setting financial goals, creating a budget, using credit wisely, prepare before buying a home. That's very important. Investing in your future, insure your assets, and last but not least, reevaluate regularly. So these are going to be the 8 steps that we're going to be discussing in this evening's webinar. So again, thank you all for joining us, and let's dive in. Let's take a look at step number 1, and that is understanding your money personality. Have you ever wondered, why you use the money in a particular way? There's many, oftentimes, we are influenced, by certain things, whether it's the things that we see, online, on TV or social media, or perhaps, we are influenced by our family or friends, and many other things that could have an influence as to, how we are spending our money. And so with that, it's going to bring us to this fun step, which is the first one, and that is, for you to have an understanding as to what kind of money personality you may have. So if we looked into the what are some of the personalities, some of this, might sound familiar to you, right? But know that in most cases, one person can have one or more personalities that would be attached to them, and that is totally fine. Again, if we look down at the list of what are some of those personalities, the first one that we see here is going to be the hoarder, right? So who is a hoarder? That's going to be anyone that likes to save money, that's always in a budget, they're always prioritizing. And if you go down the list, you're going to see the spender. I mean, that the word says it itself, right? Spender likes to spend. Then you look at the planner, they're always one step at a time. They want to make sure that they have, they have created a process as to, how they're looking to spend their money. And then we go down and look at the dreamers. The dreamers, those are going to be the ones with big ideas, but they're not sure how they're going to make it happen. We'll continue down the list, and then you're going to see those risk takers. Those are going to be the ones that are very adventurous with their money, and they're perhaps looking for a potential gain down the road. And on the contrary, if you look right below that, you're going to have those that are the risk avoiders. Those will be the people that they tend to go with what's certain, right? So especially when we're thinking about investments, we're thinking about saving money for long term, those are going to be the ones that they want to make sure that whatever money they invest, they're going to get it back with an incentive, right? Which is always just going to be dividends or it's going to be paid in interest. So again, those two are very opposite. If you looked at those that we were talking about when it's involved in risk. But if we continue down the list, you're going to look at the last two, which one of them is the separatist and the merger. Those are obviously is gonna be the opposite of each one and the other. So with that, do you know where do you fall? Like have you ever looked into have you ever asked yourself, what kind of personality do I have when it comes to my money? So we want to do one quick I'm sorry. The next item that we're going to look here is going to help you determine as to what type of personality you may have. And a way for you to find out is by simply, doing a quick list of the products and services that you enjoy spending your money on. Oftentimes, you might enjoy spending your money on perhaps a gym membership, and that you feel good because it's an investment that you're doing towards yourself, towards your health, being healthy, and having that healthy habit. And again, that might be something that you actually don't mind, spending your money in. But then on the other end, you might have those that that they love going out every weekend. They love to eat out, or they're always looking to keep on staying up to date with all the trends that are going on. So they always want to buy the latest piece of technology that hits the market, or shoes, bags, you name it. But again, some of those things is what makes the person feel good about themselves. And that's, again, it's what determines, what type of personality you have when it comes to your money. And obviously the last item here that we're going to mention, in a way on how it's going to help you understand the type of personality that you have is, what are some of the changes that you would like to make that's going to help your spending habits. And that is actually going to be a great segue into the next step, which is setting your financial goals. Financial goals, it's going to be very important, especially when it comes to you creating the path to financial freedom. So if you understand the step one, you can move into the second step. And again, this is where you're going to start realizing that, in order for you to achieve a certain goal, you need first a certain plan. I'm sorry, you need to create a goal in order to get to where you want to be. So one of the things, a couple of the things that we want to mention when you are creating a financial goal, I'm sorry, are going to be the following. Your goal should always include the next three bullet points that we're going to mention here. And one of them, the first one is, specific. You need to make sure that when you're creating your goals must be specific. You need to know how much do you need to save, how long of a time frame are you giving yourself to reach the financial goal, and then how many pay periods do you have to reach that particular goal. So for example, for a person that might be in the market of buying a car, that you're going to need some money either for a down payment, or if you want to buy a used car, perhaps, you're probably going to need to save the entire amount so you can buy the car in cash. So, this is a great opportunity for you to be specific, know exactly what it is that you want, and set up a target as far as the time frame. How long are you planning, to get to that particular goal that you set up for yourself? And then when you do that, look into your situation where you stand with your finances. So the next one that you must have when you're creating your goal is that your goal must be measurable. You need to make sure that you can keep track of the progress that you're making once you have created your goal. And then one of the tips and actually tools that I always give to all of our members, whenever they're setting up their financial goals, is that I always recommend that they set up a new savings account and title it, with that particular goal that they have. So for instance, I give an example of buying a car. So you can name that savings account specifically for a new car or used car, you name it, right? I mean, whatever it is that you want to name that particular account, go ahead and put a name in it. And then establish that, and that's going to be another resource that you're going to have, and it's going to be able to, it's going to be there available for you to keep track and see the progress that you're making, towards your financial goal. And last but not least, that one thing, and this, I must say that this probably is going to be the most important thing, and that is that your goal must be reasonable and realistic. Whenever you're setting your goals, you want to make sure that you're setting yourself for success. And with that being said, you want to make sure that when you're making those goals, that you want to make sure that the goal that you're setting yourself, it's something that it's going to be, you're going to be able to attain it, that you're not putting too much money into this particular goal, and then you're all of a sudden, struggling in your day-to-day living expenses. So again, it is important that you keep track when you're creating the goal, is that you're very specific, that you're keeping track of it, and you're measuring and see where how you're doing. And last but not least, make sure that the goal that you are creating is reasonable and realistic. With that being said, another step that comes in when you're setting your financial goal, that's going to be the time frame. You have short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. The first one, obviously, for short-term, that's going to be anything that is 2 years or less. That's what we consider a short-term financial goal. And what could be an example of that? Again, like I said earlier, right? That would probably be, for those that are looking to, perhaps buy a car down the road, or that could be a good example of that, because it's something that if you already have a car and the car is already giving you problems, and then you're ready, because you know that it's not going to last you much longer, but then you haven't really have created an account, or you don't have the necessary funds to finance the new vehicle. So you need to start with that plan. And again, as long as it is within 2 years or less, then that's going to create a great plan for you. Now, if you looked at the next one, which is the midterm, that's going to be anywhere between a 2 to 5 year plan, financial goal, I'm sorry. And that is one of the examples that I like to use in this case is for those that are going to be in the market, perhaps, of buying a home. We know that, when you buy a home, that's probably is going to be one of the biggest purchases that you will ever make in your life. And with that, it will be expensive. When you buy a house, you're going to need to, budget for the down payment. You're going to budget for the closing costs, and then some of the other expenses that are going to come with it, such as appraisal fees, such as inspection. I mean, and the list can go on and on and on. So, for that, it's something that obviously, you need to make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of time so that you have saved enough money, and then you have the money ready, when it's time to make that big commitment and the big purchase. And last but not least, if you look at a long-term goal, that would be something that is 5 years or more. Some of the examples that I like to utilize in this particular case is going to be the ones when you are, ready to perhaps, already thinking about retirement, and then you don't have, you're probably already in your 50s, and then you're already thinking about, what, I need to start, I need to review and see how, where I stand when it comes to my retirement account. Is that going to be enough? Nowadays we see that with the way how the economy is, inflation, I mean, prices are going, it seems like everything it's getting more and more expensive by the month. So we need to take that into account whenever we are, thinking about retirement. So creating an additional account that is going to help you provide additional income, to what you already have, which are your 401k, your 502bs, or any type of retirement account that you have established. You want to make sure that you have additional funds to help you be comfortable once you make that big decision of retiring or making, and going into retirement. Another great example when it comes to, long-term planning for and setting your financial goals is going to be for those that have, that have kids at home, that have little ones, and you want to help them prepare and then think about going into college, right? So you want to definitely make sure that you set up a savings, an account that you're going to be able to they're going to be able to utilize when it's time for them to go into college. So again, there's just so many different factors that come in play, when you're setting up those financial goals. And so with that being said, that's going to bring me into our next step here, which is creating a budget. This is something that I'm very passionate about because I myself use this, and I review it every 3 months with my wife. I want to make sure that that I'm giving a good example to my little one, and then it also helps me keep in line with my finances. But the one way on how I do this is by creating a budget, but not just for myself, but I combine my budget and do it as a family budget. And again, this is something that I highly recommend for everyone to do. If you haven't done one yet, I invite you all to start one, and see. You're going to be able to discover a lot of different opportunities for you to perhaps save additional money, and perhaps you're going to be able to find areas where you can actually save and cut. That's going to help you save perhaps an additional amount of money that you were spending on things that are not necessary. So with that being said, what are some of the things that your budget must include? That is going to be your income, your expenses, and your debt payment. That is definitely, once you have those numbers plugged in your budget, it will give you a clear picture as to where you stand with your finances. It will help you understand, where are some of the areas where perhaps you can make some cuts or perhaps contribute a little more. But by doing a budget, that's going to give you the clarity that you need to also help you with your financial goals that you have set, as we previously discussed. Now, the things that what a budget might look like is going to be the following. If you look at it, a budget, when you see it, this is going to be what most experts are going to recommend that you looked into once you're creating a budget. And obviously, the first thing is, we all know that we need a roof over our heads, right? So that's going to be your housing, and housing is probably going to be the biggest item in your list. That's probably going to take the most of your money, and that's understandable, especially for those that live in the DC area. We know that housing here is not cheap. So you need to budget according. And so if you look at the percentage, it's going to be anywhere between 25 to 35% of the income that you receive on a monthly basis is going to go towards your housing. The next item on the list is going to be your food, right? I mean, we need to eat, we need to feed our families. So that's with the way of how the things are going nowadays with the increase in prices of just about everything. That's something that we need to take into consideration. And with that, food is going to be something that's going to take anywhere between 18 to 23%. Then you have to look into your debt payments. Do you have any student loans? Do you have any car payments? Do you have personal loans? I mean, the list can go on and on and on when it comes to the items under your debt payments. And then the next one, which is savings. And this is the one that I highly encourage for everyone to look and see whether or not if you're saving enough money. And with that, it is important that we really emphasize this particular bucket when you're creating the budget, because although it says here 7 to 10%, I like to recommend at least 15 to 20%, just because you always want to make sure that you have additional funds, especially for emergencies that you might face. You never know. Sometimes life can throw crazy things your way, and then one thing that we must always do, we always need to be prepared for things, for challenges that we might face down the road. And the last item there, and obviously not the least one, but there you can see other expenses. And this is something, like I say, when you start planning, perhaps trips, vacations, I mean, you name it, or any miscellaneous. If you perhaps a fan of a band and they're coming into town and you want to go and see them, this is where you will put those specific expenses that are not something that you're spending on a monthly basis, but perhaps you need to budget for it, and especially right now I know that the summertime, it's around the corner. Well, today it feels like summertime. It was over 80, almost 90 degrees today, and it felt I almost felt like it was summertime, to be honest. But we know that with that, we get into the summer vacations, and we know that we need to pay for that, and we need to have a plan to how we're going to finance that. And so again, having a budget and reviewing your budget is going to be very, very important. So with that being said, I think that's enough with the budget. Let's move into the next step, which is using your credit wisely. So now we had talked about budgeting, and we also talked about savings, but then oftentimes, sometimes we are faced with situations that we need to make large purchases, and sometimes we don't have enough cash in liquid for us to use to make those purchases. So we fall on the need of having to use credit to buy things that are necessary. So when that happens, obviously we understand that that it's something that perhaps it will happen. I mean, it's inevitable, but the way how you use your credit is going to be very important, and that is and that's the reason why we want to give you some of the tips for you in order for you to have some healthy credit. The first one there that I like to mention, and this is the most important one when I talk about this particular topic, is that we need to understand that credit is a tool. It's not extra money. Remember, it is a tool, not extra money. Oftentimes people might confuse that, might think that, such financial institution gave me a credit card or gave me a line of credit, and that is my money, and let me spend it like I want it. No, you need to make sure that you understand that, we need to use credit, but use it only as a tool, only if it's really needed. Know your strengths and weaknesses. And then obviously you need to make sure that you have a plan, especially when you are dipping into your credit cards or your lines of credits or personal loans. You need to make sure that you have plan established, and that's going to help you stay in line. And obviously, we need to also understand the importance of having good credit as well too, because all of that is going to come into play at the end of the day. But obviously, as I was mentioning before in one of the last items in the budget, is that we need to create an emergency savings account in order to avoid having to use credit cards that, for the most part, we know that, especially nowadays, that the rates on credit cards or personal loans and lines of credit, they're not low. The rates right now, they're much higher than what they used to be before. And so if we're gonna make a big purchase, know that if you're taking that credit route, most likely you're gonna pay a higher interest rate, and that's something that can hurt you down the road. So again, it is very important that you create an emergency savings account that's going to help you, prepare yourself for things that are unexpected. And obviously, if you do end up using your credit cards or your credit lines of credit, you need to make sure that the balances that you have, there's something that you feel comfortable that you can manage, and obviously prioritize in making all your payments on time. And the reason why I say that is because, oftentimes, we can use a credit card, and then next thing you know, you're almost close to maximizing it. You're already at the limit on your line of credit, and then what that's going to do for you is going to make you pay more interest on the amount that you owe, but also it's going to lower your credit score, and that's something that you don't want, especially we know with how the situation is right now. And another thing too with that I must add is that we need to understand that, that building credit, it takes a lot. Building credit is very, very difficult. And it's it takes a lot of work and a lot of efforts to build. But destroying your credit, it's something that you can do in such a quick time frame. And so we need to make sure that we are very, very careful when it comes to to the behaviors that we have when we are utilizing our credit. And last but not least, I highly encourage everyone to always keep an eye on your credit reports. We had a webinar last month that we discussed about identity theft and fraud, and one of the things that we discussed on that particular webinar is that everyone is eligible to receive your credit report for free from the 3 credit bureaus every 12 months. So I highly encourage everyone to please take advantage of that resource that you have available. Creditreport.org is the website where you want to go, and that's where you'll be able to obtain a copy of your credit report. And again, given that you receive your credit report for free from every of the 3 credit bureaus, I highly recommend that you break down, that you use different, you obtain those credit reports throughout the year from the various credit companies, such as Experian. You can get that at the beginning of the year, wait about 4 months, and then use Equifax and TransUnion towards the end of the year. That way you're seeing at least every 4 months, you're seeing what's showing up on your credit, because again, with the way how things are going nowadays, we see a lot of cases of fraud, a lot of cases of identity theft. And then one of the ways on how we can catch that early is by reviewing our credit report. So again, highly recommend that for all of us to do. Now, that's gonna bring me to our next step, and this is step number 5, which is you need to prepare before you buying a home. Again, as I said early, when you buy a home, most likely this is going to be your biggest purchase that you will ever make. So if buying a home is part of one of your financial goals, you need to make sure that you're prepared. You need to make sure that that you have everything together, that you have created a plan, and that you're ready to make that decision and commitment. Because again, as I said, this most likely will be the biggest purchase that you will ever make. Again, this goes for the individuals that are looking to buy their first home, but not only them as well. Also, if you like vacationing, if you love going down, visiting other states or different parts here in the state, and you're spending a lot of money in rentals, perhaps you might find an opportunity that maybe, hey, you know what, I can go ahead and establish a goal to buy another property that I can use it as a vacation home, or even looked into a property where it may even create income for you as well, such as an income property, a rental property that you can utilize for additional income. So again, before you do that, right, it's very important that you follow all of the steps that we discuss here during this presentation. But what are some of the things that we want you to make sure that before you make that decision, that commitment to actually buying a home? Is that the first thing is that just know that just because you are approved for a certain amount doesn't mean that you need to buy that. You need to use everything that the financial institution is approving you for. That's something, a mistake that oftentimes people may make, and that I always encourage them. I always tell them that before you decide as to the amount that you want to spend, is to make sure that you review and you look at your finances closely. Because once you make that commitment, again, most of the times those type of loans are going to be the shorter term that you're going to be looking at. Perhaps that might be a 15-year loan, which is the fastest time that you can get on a mortgage, or you go with what's the most typical, which is a 30-year loan. And that, again, if you think about that, those are very big commitments, and that's something that you definitely need to take into consideration. And as I was saying early, right, you need to make sure that you're prepared for the down payment, the closing costs, all their fees that are going to come with buying a house. And I also want to mention to you guys what are some of the ratios that the lenders are always going to be looking for. In my experience, I've been in banking a little over 15 years now, and I will tell you that obviously this varies depending on the type of loan that you're looking to get. But for the most part, on a conventional loan, most financial institutions are going to be looking at your debt to income, which is they cap it at 45%. And that's something that you need to be very mindful. So your debts cannot go beyond 45%, especially if you want to qualify for a particular property. But then again, you also have other types of loans, such as an FHA, that will have that will be a little bit more flexible with the ratios that they look at. So in this case, this is the example of that. So this one can stretch it as far as 64% when it comes to your DTI. So your housing is 28% and your debt is 36%. So again, those are some of the things that you need to definitely take into consideration, when you're thinking about buying a home. Now, if you're not looking to buy a home, definitely step number 6 is something that I would highly encourage everyone, and that is to invest in your future. Retirement is something that everyone should definitely take into consideration, no matter how old you are. I always encourage everyone, and I get this question asked, when is the right time for me to start a retirement account? And I always tell them today, no matter how old you are. Today is going to be the best time for you to start your retirement account. And this goes to everyone, and everyone should always look into investing towards your future. Obviously, there are going to be different types of investments. I'm pretty sure everyone is familiar with the ones that we're going to be discussing here, but the first one, stocks, I'm sure, obviously, I know that today, with the way how the economy is, maybe that this might not be the hottest topic, but it's definitely an option. Buying stocks, this is when you own a partial ownership in a company. Also, you can look into maybe bonds, where you can buy bonds from the government, where you are the lender, and with the promise of a repayment with interest. And then you looked into the options of mutual funds. And again, mutual funds, what that in summary, what that it really is, it's just a pool of money, of your money, and then that is diversified, and obviously it's going to have a return for you. And again, this is something that we start looking at, especially once you're already looking to, you're already starting to think about retirement. And last but not least, which is the particular topic that I was discussing before we jump into this slide, and that is retirement plan. So that's your 401k, your 403b, or IRAs. This is definitely something that I will highly encourage everyone to invest in. You don't have to do stocks, the bonds, or the mutual funds, but definitely do save on a retirement account. If you're a self-employed, an IRA account is going to be the best thing for you to do. I highly encourage everyone to look into that. For those that work in the private sector, that's going to be a 401k. For those that work in government, 403b is going to be the way for you to go. So, but again, it is important that we do have an actual plan and know where we put in our money, and especially we're thinking down the road as to what are some of the things to come. So with that, it's going to lead me into our next step, which is step number 7, and that is insure your assets. What are some of the insurance that we must consider? The first one, obviously, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Your auto, renters, homeowners. I think for those that are thinking about buying a home, just a quick a little tip for you all. A lender will not approve a loan unless you have homeowners insurance. That is definitely something that you must have in order for you to get approved for financing. Obviously, the next type of insurance is going to be your health, your dental, your vision, and this is going to be the most important asset, in my opinion, and that's yourself, right? You need to insure yourself, and in order for you to be able to take care of everyone else. Then you have life insurance, and last but not least, disability and long-term care. Obviously, you always got to prepare for the worst, and then having an insurer in every aspect, the things that are that we do on a daily basis is going to be very important for you to have that that feel that you have the financial freedom. And with that being said, that's going to bring me to my last step, which is step number 8. And that is that you must reevaluate. You always need to be reevaluating, on how you're doing with your steps on along the way to reach your financial freedom. One of the things that I highly recommend is that you always reevaluating at least every quarter your budget. I personally do it myself every 3 months, or it's every quarter. But sometimes I tell my wife, you know what, something changed. Let's revisit it. And then perhaps it's after 2 months, and then we are making changes into the budget, and that is okay. I mean, one of the things that I recently did myself, which was one of the best decisions that I made, and that was to come in and join the credit union, work for United States Senate Federal Credit Union, and so I had already budgeted all the way until the summer with the previous company that I was in. But because I'm now here, and I'm not starting to see, there's different things that have changed in my role, and so I'm able to now make adjustment to my budget, and that is something that I obviously do at least every 3 months. And then you also need to look and see, trying to keep track as to how you're doing with your savings contributions. Obviously, this is going to be very important, especially for those that are creating those financial goals, and then are keeping track with how they're doing with the progress, and then looking into and see how things are playing for you. So again, it's very important that we do that at least every quarter. And last but not least, something that we should do at least once a year, that is that we must check our credit reports, look at your financial goals, see how your investments are doing, review your insurance policies, make sure that you have the right coverage for everything, whether it is your most basic, your life insurance, your homeowners, dental, medical, health. I mean, I'm sure employers, they do open enrollment every year. So we need to make sure that you are reviewing those, make sure that the prices are still the same, nothing's changed. And most important, and I think that this is something that I highly encourage everyone, that you keep records of everything that you're doing. That's going to be a great tool for all of us to take into consideration. And once you do that, again, it's going to give you that the freedom is gonna make you feel that you are the one in charge of your finances, and there's no better feeling that you want to have in your life once you know that the money you are in charge of it, and it's not the opposite, that your debts are in charge of you. Instead, you're in charge of your money. So I highly encourage you to follow the steps. And that's gonna give you all of the tools that you need in order to be successful with your financial goals. With that being said, that's gonna bring me to the end of my presentation. I hope that you found this helpful. I do know that my colleague Eddie stated that at the beginning that we're gonna open it up for to questions. So if anyone has any questions, this will be a great opportunity for you to submit it on the chat or in the Q&A. But before we do that, I want to reintroduce my colleague Rahel Young, who is our operations manager here at the credit union. She's been in banking for so many years, and she's definitely a great resource that we have. And she's going to be discussing as to what are some of the additional resources that we have available here at the credit union for you. So with that being said, Rahel, I don't want to hold you too long, so take it away from me.
Thank you so much, Milton. I appreciate it. Thank you for the great tips you have given us this evening, from budgeting, from credit report monitoring to buying a home. So with all that information that you made available, one of the things we also want to let you know that the United States Center for Credit Union, as your primary financial institution, has additional resources available to you. Additional resources include a partnership with Fellows Financial Group to bring members access to professional financial planning and advisory services. Fellows Financial Group helps entrepreneurs, some of us, set goals and develop strategies to make their business more productive and efficient. Fellows Advisor will work with you to implement unique strategies that can help you manage your business and achieve long-term success. This is not, although this talks about business, Fellow Financial is not just for businesses as well. We have many members that come to us wanting to invest in their future, look into financial strategies, investment strategies, and by simply calling them or making an appointment, they will even come to the credit union to meet you. So we'll be able to do that for you. Again, they specialize in retirement planning, especially for federal employee benefits. They're here to help guide federal employees through the complex terrain of options and provision and tactics to enable them to maximize benefits they've earned. So if you have any questions of how to manage your 401k or your retirement, or if you're an entrepreneur, how to set up a future retirement plan, Fellow Financial, as you can see here, Michael Schimmel, he is an excellent resource. All you have to do is contact one of us or contact him directly, and he will make an appointment with you right away in order to be able to assist you with that. So furthermore, what we also have is now that you have your retirement plan, everything that Milton just discussed today is also will be available to you through our partnership with GreenPath Financial Wellness. GreenPath Financial Wellness, through the partnership with them, you can receive assistance with personal and family budgeting, debt management, repaying, avoiding bankruptcy and foreclosures, and student loan debt counseling. They're very specialized with student loan debt counseling with purchasing home. They are certified financial counseling services, where they'll be able to help you. Everything that Milton discussed today, you will be able to go through step by step in terms of when you, financial counseling, debt management plan. What a lot of debt management plan is that if you have a lot of debt and you want to be able to cut your rate or consolidate it and different things, they'll be able to help you. Credit review, credit report review, as Milton just discussed, it's important to review your credit. But with the Green Path Financial Wellness, they'll help you review your individual credit and give you the best options possible. If it's to pay debt, if it's to increase your credit, if it's to pay off collection, or if you want to do dispute form, they'll be able to do that. Again, housing services, just as Nathan discussed earlier about planning for to purchase a home. If you contact them prior to you wanting to purchase a home, they'll be able to help you set it up so that by the time you are prepared to buy a home, you would have already went through all of the steps that he discussed and be prepared for your home. Again, student loan counseling. Student loan counseling is a very specialized counseling that they will be able to provide. Again, personal action items and step-by-step support for everything you will need. That is all I have. If we have any questions, please feel free to ask, as Milton said earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahel, for sharing this important information. Many of our members don't know that we have these services, so it's good, a good refreshment to put this in their mind. And, everybody that's listening to this webinar, whether you're a member or not, or you're a potential new member, take advantage of our services, because we want to make sure that you take, we take care of you financially. And any goals that you want to reach, or any, ideas that you may have, or anything that you want to accomplish financially, 10 out of 10 times, we have the answer for you. So, just give it give us a shot, give us a chance. And we do have these great resources like Rahel was saying. So thank you very much for sharing this amazing information. Carrie, I think we have a lot of questions this evening, correct?
Yep. I'll jump right into them if that's okay, Milton. How would you suggest breaking up quarterly or yearly costs? For example, license plate and registration fees are yearly.
Thanks, Gary. That's actually a good question. I do know that for the most part, most states, I can tell you here in Virginia, whenever you're renewing your license plates, you have the option to renew it for either a year or even up to 2 or 3 years now. I believe that some of the newer cars that don't require admission as often, that you can actually do that. My recommendation is, if you have the funds available right at that moment, is that do that. Do it. Buy the do the I guess the longest option available for you to do that, just so that something that you can scratch off from your list and you don't have to worry about for the next year or two. So definitely something I will highly recommend is to, rather than and this the same thing applies for those that are that go in the market and are buying perhaps a car insurance. You're going to have 2 rates that are going to be provided to you. One is going to be a monthly rate, or if you pay upfront for either a full 6 months or a year, you're going to notice that there will be a significant savings on that. So again, it all goes back to where you stand with your budget. So if you're comfortable enough with your budget, if you prepare for that, then you can make those decisions, and it will be a lot easier for you. But my recommendation is always buy for the longest time frame allowed, because in most cases you'll be able to see a savings. But not only that, but it also is going to be something that you don't have to worry about for a specific amount of time.
Great answer. Great answer, like Milton was saying. And, that's an advice that I need to take, that if I have my money for my registration, do it right then and then, because regardless, whether you do it early or later on in the year, you're going to have to pay that registration. You want to make sure that everything's up to date with your vehicle. Go ahead, Carrie. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Milton, did you cover how to account for that in your budgeting? Like how monthly we would have utilities, like where do you allot for the yearly?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So in essence, when you create your budget, when you plan for it, it's something that you can cross off from your bucket list, right? As far as one of the expenses that you don't have to worry about. So when you are making those budgets, that's obviously that will be an item in your budget on the list. Once you have your budget, I'm sorry, it will be an item that you don't have to revisit every so often. So when you budget for it, like obviously budget for the time frame that you decide to to make those perhaps those commitments or those purchases for. So obviously always so again, I guess what I'm trying to say with that is that if you decide that well, if you know that you need to pay for your car insurance and you want to take the long term and to do the 6-month plan, you budget that every 6 months. So you include it and make sure that if you utilize the one of the tips that I provided, which is reviewing your budget every 3 months, right? So in essence, you can skip that after 3 months and just put it into the second quarter, and that's how you're going to be able to plan and finance for it. But again, all of that money, right? But like I said, when it comes to your budget, is that I would recommend that you put some of that money into your additional emergency savings or an additional account that you have created that will pay it's expenses that that they don't happen on a monthly basis, but they're going to be showing up unexpectedly. So yes.
And if I can say something, Carrie, also most budget forms, they also have like auto expenses. So you may want to do something like that as well for auto expenses. If you have a specific budget for auto expenses, put that away on an annual basis, like Milton stated, or on a monthly basis, just dump that in there. That way it will cover everything auto, whether it be insurance or the taxes and tags, emergency, for us to fix the vehicle. So that's another resource in most budgeting tools. They have auto expenses.
Those are so great answers, guys. Thank you very much. Like Rahel was saying, I like the fact that you emphasize that anything auto related, which is registration or insurance, a car payment, and even repairs, you can budget that, when you're creating a budget, which leads me to the next question. What is an easy way to create a budget? It's either Milton or Rahel, whichever wants to answer. Somebody that perhaps has never created a budget before, how can they start doing that? What is an easy way to create a budget, for themselves?
I can answer that. Carrie put in a link a few minutes ago for a budget, creating a budget. It's a very easy tool. If you just click on the link. In fact, I just did it on USSFCU. It's done, I believe most financial counselors use something very similar, where it will allow you to collect everything. What are all your expenses? What are all your regular debts or unexpected, periodic debts versus fixed debts? So that's a great tool to have. You can email it to yourself, and it's fillable, as she stated. You can actually start using it today.
And I'll share that out in a follow-up email, links to GreenPath, links to Michael, links to all those resources I was throwing in the chat box too.
Yeah, I was also going to add, I'm sorry, Eddie, before you jump into the next question, but I was also going to add, I do know that, oftentimes, people might be a little skeptical of going online and downloading things from the web. I will also say that, feel free to visit our branches. We'd be more than happy. We can print those templates for you. And it's something you fill in manually as well too. So again, we want to make sure that we're giving you the tools that you need in order to create a successful budget.
Perfect. Thank you. Not many people know that we can actually create that for them. So that's a great start for somebody that perhaps never has done a budget before. So having that template, having that idea, that gives you great support. So that way moving forward, like, oh, I can count with this amount of money for whatever the spend might be. So that's a great tool as well. And then Rahel mentioned something about GreenPath and fellows. And, she was talking about it in her slides. One of the questions is there a fee schedule for the financial advisor? So if somebody wants to meet with the financial advisor, is there a fee related to that?
With fellows, depending on the type of investments you make, so that would be discussed after evaluation. That's with fellows financial for that. In terms of Green Path, the only time that there is a fee is if you are doing the debt management plan and possibly the student loan, but most of the other services are free, where in fact, if you want to create a budget, you can contact them. They'll help you create a budget and all this. Most of their services free.
Yes, and I'll second to what Rahel was saying, especially with Michael. I just know that Michael is a fiduciary, so what that means that you just will have meetings with him. There's no fee for that, so you're more than welcome to have meetings with him, and he will not charge you for having a meeting. But depending on the investment plan that you want to look into it, then that's how the way some of the fees will be generated for him. But again, but just to have a consultation and just kind of like revisit and see where you stand and where you are, that's something that there's no cost for that.
Awesome. And these are some great tools, to take advantage of. And when you become a member, or if you're a member already, you can already take advantage of this. And it's always good to have, a second set of eye looking at your finances. Maybe you have a goal that you haven't reached yet, and you need that expert advice, then that would be a great tool. Whether it's Green Path or fellows, they professional people that's what they dedicate their life to make sure that our members are financially successful. Another question, if you are retired and no more dependents, does one really need life insurance? What do you guys think?
Well, if I'll answer that one, Eddie. I mean, if you no longer have any dependents, or like for instance, if you're no longer married, you don't have a spouse, or you don't have kids, then no, it's not necessary. Life insurance, it's highly recommended for those that that have young families, and then you want to make sure that if something happens to you, that that they're gonna have there will be there will be something available for them that's gonna kind of like substitute of the contributions that you were providing. So again, if you're already retired and you no longer have dependents, or you don't have an ex-spouse, then that and then you don't have debts that are under your name, and that the next person, the other person that next to you is going to be the one in charge, then no, it's not. I wouldn't recommend on getting a life insurance if that's your your particular case. But on the other hand, again, if you are in a situation where you still have dependents, where you still have people that depend on you, I highly recommend look into different options when it comes to life insurance, whether it is a term insurance or just regular insurance. There's a lot of different options that are available out there for everyone to explore.
Thank you, everyone, for this
And-
question. Go ahead, Raya.
Someone say something, if you don't have to replace an income to take care of other individuals, as Milton just stated, one thing to consider is, how would you like your final expenses to be paid? So you want to make sure that you have something so that your final expenses are taken care of, funeral or whichever way you decide how to take care of your final expenses. You may want to make sure that part is done.
All right. I love these questions from budgeting to life insurance. So thank you, everybody, for these questions. I think, we're giving the presentation, but I think we all learning something from this, even the presenter. I know Milton is learning something new this evening as well. Another question regarding budgeting. And I know, Milton, you mentioned that just because you get approved for a certain amount when you're looking for a home, it doesn't mean that you can actually afford to pay that mortgage or whatever it is. The question is, if the monthly payment falls within one's budget, is using 0% interest for X number of months a good idea?
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
Of course. It says if the monthly payment falls within one's budget, is using the 0% interest for X number of months a good idea? I guess the X is a variable, whatever months is. Sometimes they offer you like, 0% interest for 3 months, 4 months, etc.
Yeah, I think this will be more in line with like credit cards, and oftentimes credit cards will run different credit card companies will run different promotions. I seen it where it's, you know, in most cases it's either 12 months or up to 15 months, depending on the type of credit card that you get in. And my answer for that would be yes, as long as you are, you know, you budget, you know, for when the promotion ends. Obviously, you know, if it's something that you think that you need to buy, that it's not going to take you too much time to repay it back, that you're still going to be in line with the, you know, by the time that you repay the amount that you use, you're going to be able to pay it before the 0% intro rate expires. And yes, go for it. It could also be, you know, definitely a great advantage. But I will say that oftentimes, you know, that could be a temptation that a lot of people might fall for, because you get comfortable and all of a sudden you continue to dip in it, and then next thing you know, that promotion expires, and then boom, you're slapped with a 23% interest rate. So everything that you have been accumulating all of a sudden is going to be faced with that high interest rate. So as long as you budget with, you know, and you have enough, you know, funds to cover for the amount that you utilize before the offer expires, I highly recommend that you use it. And then, you know, again, my only recommendation would be that if it's a credit card, try not to use more than 50% of the available credit, because if you do go over 50%, that most likely is going to have an impact on your credit score, which is going to bring it down, just because it shows that your utilization on your credit card is being high, and that again is going to report negative credit to your file rather than good credit. So if you're doing that, again, my advice is that try to stay at 50% or less when you're utilizing just credit cards, and that you always, you know, make your payments on time. That's, I cannot stress that enough. You need to make sure that you're making your payments on time, and that you're not going over the 50% of the available credit that's being provided to you.
And just one more note on those types of offers. I know they suggest reading the terms and conditions super carefully, because, for example, there'll be one that's like, if you don't pay it off in the allotted amount of time, they'll hit you with all of the interest that you would have, you know, that had occurred or accrued during that promotional period, you know, so just read the terms and conditions.
Always read that fine print, they say, right? So thank you for that clarification, both of you. I was a little confused, but now I see what they meant by that question. And I know we, you know, a little bit over 7 o'clock, so we want to be mindful with people's times. So we have our last question. The question is, and, you know, I don't know if you're related to this or not, but it says, my apartment building has advertised that they are now partnering with Isuzu Rent, who reports on-time rent payments to credit bureaus. They'll also offer loans, which makes it seem shady to me. We're able to opt out, and I'm leaning towards doing this. Do you have any knowledge of this service? So do you know of any, you know, I guess companies that report when people pay their rent on time, and if so, are they legitimate?
I have seen that, Eddie, and it's something that is somehow it's kind of like a new trend that is up and coming. And in essence, what it is, it's a third-party company that some of the management companies are now utilizing. But just know that if you get into that, it's almost as if you're having a credit card. I mean, in essence, the way it is that you're going to be faced with interest rates that you're going to be paying, you know, whenever if you're using the route for making your rent payments. You know, look and see again what Carrie was just mentioned not long ago, and that is that make sure that you read the fine print, because I do know that you know, there's always penalties, especially when it comes to rent. If you're late on a particular month, you're gonna be facing 2 fees. One is from the actual apartment company, and the other one is going to be from this company who's doing the financing for you. So again, you know, something that that I will highly advise that you know, just read the fine print and make sure that that you know, that you're not setting yourself for failure, because again, it is, and in essence, it's another loan that you're obtaining. It's just that the way how it's put, it's an actual you know, rental loan that you obtain through this company.
So I know that services like that too are good for those who don't have any credit history. So like Rental Karma, when they're reporting like those types of payments to the credit bureaus, then that's good. I was just about to respond to the person who asked that question. I know we have a service, Love My Credit Union, that collaborates with Rental Karma. So I'm just gonna put that link in the chat box for you too. That's another service that credit union members have. So when I put the link in the chat, just if you want to go to that page and then click on the view the rewards, Rental Karma comes up. But Eddie, and I'm sorry, I know you said that was just one more question, but I had been typing little answers to the questions, so it moves into the answered section. So we do have a lot more questions, if that's okay. Get ready, Milton. You ready? Okay.
Absolutely. Bring it on.
So if you have a lot of equity in your home already, is it a good idea to have a HELOC available for emergencies rather than taking money out of an IRA?
Yes, yes, and no, but mostly yes. And the reason why I say that is because if you do own a home, and obviously if you have the equity available, I highly recommend that. But again, going back to what I said in the presentation, is that you need to be wise as to when know when to use it. Don't just use it just for your regular expenses. A home equity should be treated as an emergency. Literally, it would be like your last resource to utilize for any emergency, especially if it's related to your house. But also, when the unexpected happens as well too. But those will be the only times that I'll recommend that you utilize a HELOC. And a HELOC, obviously, it's great because if you dive into your IRA or your retirement plan, most of the times, there will be a tax implication that comes with that. And I will say that it's a pretty hefty one. And so if you could utilize the equity that you have built in your home, I would rather, advise that you use that. And most importantly, and one of the things that I also want to discuss a little more, and that is that with a HELOC, you only pay interest rate on the amounts on the amount that you use. So, for instance, one can have a HELOC that is for, I'm just going to throw a random number, right? You can have a $100,000 HELOC, but if you're only utilizing $1,000, you're only going to pay $1,000. You're only going to pay interest rate on that $1,000, not on the remaining balance. And most financial institutions don't have any annual fees as well. So that is also something to look for as well too, right? If you do decide to go with an option of a HELOC, make sure that those are some of the things to ask for before you sign the paperwork and you go into closing. And again, having an annual fee, it's very important. Make sure that most financial institutions don't have one, but just make sure you ask. Because you might be surprised that I've seen some places where they charge up to $500 just for having a HELOC open, and so make sure you do that. But again, just have it as an emergency line, and only use it if it's really necessary.
And actually, I put this link in the chat box too, but the credit union currently has a couple promotions going on right now surrounding home equity lines of credit, one and home equity loans. There's closing costs covered, but we're also doing in branch, and it doesn't have to be in branch. If you want to talk to a home equity advisor by phone, they can answer these types of questions for you, personal to your situation. They're a great resource. Get your questions answered either person to person, one-on-one, by phone. Any specific questions, they'll walk you through the whole process, talk about any fees, talk about, payment schedules, all of the possibilities you can ask. They'll cover. They're great people.
Yeah, and Carrie, if I may add, because I also saw something, that was another question that was also asked. I kind of started peeking a little bit, but I saw somebody ask a question about DTI, so the debt to income ratios. For the most part, most financial institutions is going to be 45%. Now that you're talking about the home equities, I can tell you that home equities here at the United States Senate Federal Credit Union, our DTI, when it comes to home equities, it's a little higher than 45%. So it's something that I'm really excited that that we're able to offer that to our members. We're going to be in the, I believe, in the mid 50s, 55% or so, if I'm not mistaken. So again, you have a little more wiggle room, when it comes to where you stand with your financial situation. So definitely a great product. And we have an expert team from the credit union that specializes just on that. So take advantage, and then come in and talk to us if that's something that you want to explore.
So on the subject of owning a home, after 50, in your opinion, is it worth it to buy a home? And then can you follow that up with, is there any value in renting?
It's definitely never too late. I always encourage everyone, especially if you live in this area, right? We know that sometimes rent can be more expensive than mortgage, believe it or not. I do know nowadays, the rates are a little high, but still, that's something that I will definitely encourage you. If you have the resources, if you have the money saved to buy a home, why not? It's never too late, and there's definitely don't be discouraged just because you're already 50. I mean, here at the credit union, we do mortgage loans all day long, and you'll be surprised as to how the number of members that are coming in and that are applying, and you'll be surprised. I mean, I seen some loans that I get to review with the loan officers from time to time, and I'm like, wow, the clear example of that is never too late to pursue what you want, and definitely owning a home, doesn't matter at what age you're in, is definitely not a bad investment. And obviously, I'm a little biased, so I don't see a lot of value with renting. The only time I recommend rent, obviously, if you perhaps are looking to just establish yourself, or you have plans perhaps that you want to move, you don't want to stay in a particular area, so that could be a good opportunity for you to explore that renting option. But I would always say that if you have the willingness, and then you want to make that commitment, highly encourage it, because once you do that, the process itself, you might be surprised on how easy it is nowadays. It's not as complicated as some people might make it seem like, and especially when you have the right financial institution, and that's something that I really take pride with the process and what we do here at the credit union. We are amazing. I mean, we have Jeremy, we have Kim, those two individuals. They have so many years of experience in the mortgage lending, and they make your process of buying a home very one that you definitely will enjoy. Let me tell you that. So yes.
And if I may say something, when it comes to having a home, you also have to look at owning a home as a wealth builder. If you own your home, if you're renting, you live to be 75, 80 years old, you're going to be paying rent until then. If you are purchasing a home, not only you building wealth, the equity equity may go up. So you will actually have a lot as an investment. You own, let's say today you purchase your home for $200,000, and next year, depending on the area, depending on the market, it may be worth $300,000, $400,000, and you'll be able to. And once you finish paying it off, there is no mortgage other than just homeowner insurance and taxes. So you will be able to always have a roof over your head, as we say, and be able to pass that on to family and the kids as a wealth builder as well. So we highly encourage owning a home if you're able to.
So is retirement planning too late to start after 50?
Never.
Never too late. I remember, if there's anything you can take from this presentation, it is never too late to start, whatever plan it is that you want to accomplish. One of the things that I will say that, especially if you're already at 50, when it comes to the contributions that you may make to your retirement account, the IRS gives you a little more allowance than somebody that's in their 20s and 30s and whatnot. So, definitely, come, and especially for those that are, self-employed, I would highly encourage you all to come in and talk to us, someone here at one of our branches. We can definitely talk to you about looking at options with an IRA, or you can request a meeting with Michael, and then he can definitely look into, what are some of the options that we have available for you. But again, retirement, it's never too late to start. So 50, you know what? 50 is a new 30, right? That's what Eddie says, right, Eddie? So
That's
yeah,
right. That's
He
right.
says that because he's 20.
yes.
So on IRAs, again, is there a minimum deposit amount to open an IRA? I'm not sure if that's in general or specific with the credit union. But so
Rahel, I'll let you answer that question.
No, as long as you have your savings account here with the credit union, you can open your account with zero balance, and it's just there's a max per month per year based on your age group and based on where you are, and you're able to contribute up to that amount throughout the year or at the time that you open the account.
and I did share Retirement Central is a resource for retirement planning on our, specifically with IRAs on our page. It's been really helpful, but we also have a wonderful lady, Mary. She's been doing the
Yeah.
IRAs here at the credit union for years, and she's so helpful. So that information's on that page too. And I hope that I got, we'd ask that one. Eddie, did I miss any?
Oh, I think the ones that were pending were the ones that you were, providing links and saying that we will answer them live. And I did all that we had, and everything is there. Somebody saying that they don't see the links, but everything will be provided to you all after after the webinar. We'll send the slideshows and everything, correct, Harry?
Yeah, and specifically to the lady who's not seeing the links, that's great. You must have, like I sent you a lot of links too. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but as soon as we are done here, I will put them all in a Word document and email it out to you all, just so you have easy access to it. And then there was a really nice comment from a lady. She said, fantastic presentation, as was the USSFCU advice I attended and followed, or the advice I followed 30 years ago as a new Senate staffer. So grateful to USSFCU for keeping me on track with my goals all these years.
Wow. Congratulations.
And with that being said, I think every time that we do these presentations, we always say that once a United States Senate Federal Credit Union member, you're a member for life. And I think this is a testimony of that. That imagine this lady received a presentation 30 years ago, and up to now in 2023, she's still thankful. So this is what we do, guys. This is a reminder for us that we're here to help our members, and each one of you that attended this presentation. We want to help you succeed financially. So if you have any dreams or any goals, let us give you a hand, because we have everything for you.
Thank you, Eddie. That summarizes. I think you couldn't put it any other better way. But again, I just want to thank you all for taking your time. I know this is probably one of the presentations that we've gotten, probably the latest, but it's definitely a lot of great questions, and we hope that you found this helpful, and again, invite you all to our next webinar next week as well. It's just a reminder that we do this types of seminars every Wednesday, and that is something that we're really excited, and we couldn't do this without your support. So thank you all for attending, and also want to say a special thanks to my colleague, my partner, Rahel, for taking the time. I know you're still in the office, so thank you so much for coming forward. And Carrie, Eddie, you guys are amazing in marketing. So thank you all. And with that, we look forward to seeing you back in another webinar next week. So you all have an excellent evening. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.